Hi everyone, it's Debbie Ryan from StampYourJourney.com. I made these cute little easel canvas works with my stamps and sparkle embossing powder for a class, and a few people have asked me how I did it that didn't take the class, so I thought I'd do a quick video. You know, as you can see, any line stamp that you have, you can play with them and do them. They come out really pretty. You can make them very soft or very vibrant. And they fit in these cute little easels. So the one I thought that I would work with you today, get these out of the way, is I'm going to use this stamp, and it came from Floral Essence, and I actually took the leaves from Floral Essence, but I took the flower from To a Wild Rose, which is one of the stamp sets that will be retiring soon. So I'm going to show you how I do this really fast and quick. Again, you can play, add plenty of colors, and it's just playing with it. And by using the black sparkle embossing powder, it gets a nice little shimmer in there. I'm hoping you can see it in the camera. So let's get started. So like I said, this is a very quick thing. These easels are about 3.5 by 3. I buy them on Amazon. You can get them at your local craft store. So I just take my embossing buddy, do all the sides really quickly. Took my flower stamp, and I'm going to, just like doing it on paper, hit it with some Versamark. And I'm going to put this kind of just like this. Now the one thing you do have to do with these is, I found, because there's this indentation, is pick it up carefully, and you want to touch this, rub in here against the stamp. Not very hard to do, just to get a good thing. Try not to move it. Bring in my embossing powder, and just like we would for on paper, I'm going to cover that. Got pretty good on my lines. You don't always get all of them, and don't be afraid to take a paintbrush if you got a little bit where you don't want it, and just brush it off really quick like that. I do heat it with a heat gun, so I'm going to do that real quickly. Sorry for the noise. You can see I didn't get a really good impression right there. I didn't press it hard, but I'm going to fix that with my paint. And again, took my leaves, and I'm going to add, I think I'll add some right here. The nice thing about using a photopolymer set too is you can see where it is. And I think I'll add some up here, just like that. Attach. And again, I'm just picking it up, trying to give it a good press without moving it. Add some more embossing powder. Pretty good. Got a good impression with those. And again, I'm going to heat this up, so it's going to make a little noise. Pretty tough to get a good impression all the time, but most of the time you can, and not any two usually are the same. And then all I do is I have this cute little tray, that I put little dabs of re-inker. You could do it on wax paper, anything that you would, just like in a piece of paper. And I'm using my aqua painter really quick. So I'm going to do this one a really bright yellow, just like I did on this one, so you can see it. So I'm just dipping. I want to try and get this in so you can see. Just dipping in my yellow, not too wet of a brush. Anywhere I want to start where would be where it would be darker, and I'm truly just painting some on here and then going out. It gets lighter as I go out. I do try not to drag too much over the embossing. Always keep a wet paper towel to work on. Keep your brush nice and wet. Not super wet, but just enough so you can move it on the canvas. As you can see, a little bit goes a really, really long way. And as I said, try not to go over the black too much. Probably won't hurt it, but I just try not to drag. Kind of doing a base coat of this light yellow. Again, anytime I put fresh ink on my aqua painter, I start where I would want my flower to be darker naturally, and then just work on coloring it. Just want to show you how quickly these work up. Any line item you have that you can put color in, they're really pretty. They're fun to do. They make awesome gifts. And I think you heard me say earlier, I find it easier with photopolymer stamps that you can see through, so you can see exactly where you're placing them. Yeah, that's a pretty good base coat, so I'll probably want a little yellow anywhere where the leaf is folded over. Use the artist, I tell you this when I color, artwork to make my darker yellows. This is probably a little darker. And then just add some nice lines in there. Again, not too wet, not too dark. Some pretty deepening down towards the center of the flower. You might see a little bit darker yellow. Pick up some of this. Just like coloring, you know, any shadowed parts would be a little darker, like under there. This would probably be a little darker. This is shadowed in here. Not too wet. You could always blot it with a paper towel. If it's getting too wet, just blot it. Just go straight up, straight down. Don't mix your colors. And a little more yellow in here. Might let that sit for a bit, see how it dries up. It dries very, very quickly. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to take some of my old olive. Hoping I'm keeping this so you can see it. And again, old olive is a little darker, so you might want to just squeeze a tiny bit of water in there. Keep it a little bit light. You can always test it. And then again, where it would be darker is where you want to start. This is a little bit dark. Add a little bit of water in here. Pull this out. Add a little water in there. Pull this out. Fill in those leaves nice and pretty. Just trying to stay within my lines a little bit. And it's a little darker in the center. Don't be afraid to tap on your paper towel. If it's getting a little too wet, don't keep playing with it. Just tap on your paper towel and start over again. A little splash of color. That's pretty. Starting pretty much where they would grow right out of the stem, because that's probably where they're darker. Pull this, oop, this is getting a little wet. I'm going to take a clean bit of my paper towel. Just soak a little bit of that up. A little green in there. There we go. You can usually fix most any little blob of water that you have. I'm going to make that a leaf. Might be part of my flower, but I'm going to make that one a leaf today. Again, let that dry a little bit. A little dab on there. Might go back and touch up now that this is dried a little bit. Might just splash a little bit more yellow in there. Not too much. I like the variation in the colors. I'm just going to kind of make my edges of my, where it grows out of my petals, make them a little bit darker. There, that looks pretty. And then I like it, it looks pretty just like that. It's very bright and very vibrant, but I like the little bit of wash around it. So I actually do that with some balmy blue. And again, you can always add darker, so I make this a little bit light by adding a little water. And I always start wherever it would be darker, which is underneath the leaf. And I just painted this right in just like this. Just a nice little quick wash over there. Again, whenever I put fresh ink on, I always start where there would be a shadow, so it would be darker. Going right over the edges here. And I am going to show you that I go down the edges, make them a little more finished looking, go right over the top. It's going to be a little darker under here. And we can always go back, add a little bit more if it gets a little too washed out. And some look better darker blue, and some look better a little bit lighter. You just have to decide how much blue and how dark you want it to be. So, as you can see from what I'm working on, these work up very quickly. You could add some words. I'll show you again my other ones that I did the same thing, embossed them. With a black sparkly embossing powder. Sorry to say that is retiring soon, but the black works just as well. Let's see how we look in here. Pull in some blue right there. Now I like to do my edges just to finish. Ooh, can you see what I'm doing? Hopefully you can. I keep forgetting not to move away from my spot here. And I'm just making this not quite as dark, and I'm pulling it with some water to coat in my edges. Just do a nice little wash on my edge. Pretty blue. Make sure you catch where it folds over. And if you, once you get comfortable doing these, you can totally, and I'll show you an example of it, do a little bit of a wrap over the edge. You can pull your stamp, and if you don't think it's got enough shadow, you can go back in and add a little bit heavier blue where it would be a little bit darker maybe in the shadows. Just like that. Very quick. That's a quick show of, let's wake up these a little bit, how to do it. But you can see how very quickly got this done. I've made a few for adorable gifts. Some have said thank you, any little words that we have, but you want them to be very pretty block done video. I'm going to move this out of the way. So I wanted to show you. So like this one, I used the words "Hey friend," and I did a really soft pink and left a little white on the edges and very light blue in the background, very light. And then on this one I wanted to show you a little bit darker, a little more lines and shadows. Enjoy today was a nice block print, so it took the embossing powder really well. This one I had a little fun with. I mixed some yellows and blues for my background did my seahorse and the coral and that, and I actually put one of those red gems that we have on the outside. And this one, stamped this from the Forever Flowers and did them in pink with a blue. And these, you can wrap the edge of the stamp over the edge. And the one that I had showed you earlier, you can see when I stamped these, I did them closer to the edge, but I wrapped them. When I stamped, I just rolled it over the edge. Might want to start out trying with one of these with them all on the front, and then add these in. And as you can see, I got a really good impression there. So they're very pretty. They're cute. They go on these cute little 3-inch easels you can do them on. They stand up. Can you see that? They look really cute done like that. They package up nicely. Just bring a little ray of sunshine to someone. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Again, it's Debbie Ryan from Stampin'Up.com. Have a great day.